Hello, hello. Hope everyone is doing well out there. We are now in the second week of March. It is technically a Jupiter morning, March 13th, and it is a Mars hour. And the moon is in Virgo, so we're about to have our full moon lunar eclipse, I guess, in less than 24 hours. It officially takes place at 11:54 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention about this full moon lunar eclipse and some of the energies that have been going on this week. So Venus has been retrograde for a few weeks now, and Mercury and Venus met up over the past few days in Aries at 8 degrees, which is a Scorpio degree. And that could be having, conversations that really allow us to ask for what we need. It's like that squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of conversation. So with Mercury in the sign of Aries, that's already like verbal bravery is what I call it. Like not really having much regard of what you might sound like. Just really asking for what you want, or maybe not even asking, but like demanding, or maybe not even saying anything and just taking. But with Mercury, with Venus, there could be some harmony to the conversation, so, and creativity as well. I call it romantic rhetoric because this is Aries in a Mars ruled sign. So hopefully that turned out well for everyone. Mercury will be retrograding on Saturday, so right after the lunar eclipse. So this could be a revisiting of those conversations in case those conversations were a little too spicy and we're finding ourselves backtracking and having to revisit those conversations, revisit those terms, explain ourselves, renegotiate. So Mercury going backwards, it will retrace those same degrees that Venus is also retracing. So Mercury retrogrades at 9 degrees Aries, Venus retrograded at 10 degrees, and they will both go back into Pisces, and Mercury will go back to 26 Pisces and then go forward and then go direct. It goes direct on the 7th of April, and then Venus will go back to Pisces, 24 degrees Pisces, and Mercury re-enters Pisces on the 29th and goes direct on the 7th of April, and then re-enters Aries again on the 16th of April. So this tandem retrograde pattern between Venus and Mercury is interesting because Venus has to do with our money, our relationships, love, of course, what we value, and Mercury is our communication, how we process things. It's also commerce. And I find it pretty interesting that this is happening during the economic blackouts, the boycotts, and, I'm all for it. I haven't had a Amazon account in probably 4 years. And, yeah, these big box stores, fortunately, we do have some options in San Francisco to go to family-owned businesses. They are not as cheap, but as far as the prices. But I find that if we reframe our pattern of spending and adopt more of a sacred economy mentality, and Charles Eisenhower speaks a lot about this, putting your focus on things that you care about, basically putting your value in things that you actually connect with, then those kind of energies will sustain and multiply. And giving our money or our, energy into toxic systems only perpetuates the same toxic system and allows it to keep on growing. So yeah, I find that the economic blackouts are happening during the Mercury-Venus retrogrades, and it will be very interesting to see how the results affect the CEOs and, just the overall picture. And from what I can tell, it's already been hitting them in the pocket, and the stocks have gone down. So we're going to see a lot more of that. There is actually a movie, I think I mentioned it before, called the beautiful green, and in French it's called La Belle Verte. And yeah, I can link it below, but it was filmed, I want to say, in the late 80s, maybe mid 80s, and it was banned in pretty much everywhere. It's very hard to find. I had to do some digging to find this particular link that had English subtitles, but it is worth a watch. It talks about everything that's going on now in our present day. So like having this, what do they call it, pre-Renaissance chaos, where everyone was boycotting and throwing out their washing machines and all of these appliances out the window, and realizing that pretty much all of the systems that they've been participating in have been fraudulent. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things align with that movie. I mean, that one was ahead of its time, and the fact that it's been banned, I think it was first banned in Germany. You can't find it in the US. I mean, it's hard to find. It's like not easy. They don't make it easy to find. So when they don't make it easy to find, you know there's something worth finding out about. So yeah, Mercury and Venus will be both retrograde after this weekend. But yeah, within 24 hours we have the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So the moon will be in Virgo and the sun is in Pisces. And the mutable signs are going to be affected by this, Gemini and Sagittarius. And the nodes are what make this a lunar eclipse. So the nodes are in Virgo and Pisces, south node in Virgo, and north node in Pisces. And so with the south node lunar eclipse, we are being asked, or not even asked, we are going to have shakeups and releases, detoxing. In the sign of Virgo, this can be like a cleansing or a purification of energies, and I consider this to be like a wiping the slate clean, or purifying, disinfecting the slate clean. And actually the Sabian symbol for this lunar eclipse, that's like the dumpster emptying out, for 24 Virgo is Mary and her little lamb, or Mary and her white lamb. So this speaks to like innocence and patience and purification, a relationship between wisdom and simplicity. So we want to keep things very simple, nothing, too chaotic, keeping conversations just, even keel, nothing too exciting, nothing too chaotic. And the Sabian symbol for 24 Pisces is on a small island surrounded by the vast expanse of the sea. People are seen living in close interaction. So I see this as being part of communities, like soul, like heart-centered, like soul family kind of communities, where you're able to give and take. Reciprocity is kind of like this unspoken rule, and people just know how to give and receive. And this is kind of like this heaven on earth feeling that I get from all of the energies that are in play right now. We have so many planets in Pisces supporting the North Node. We have Saturn at 22 degrees and the Sun is at 23. So if you're a Capricorn or Aquarius, Saturn is your ruler, so this can be affecting you. And then Venus and Mercury will be re-entering Pisces before the end of the month, and it'll join Neptune. Neptune, who's about to enter Aries for the first time in 165 years. And so Venus being the ruler of Taurus and Libra, this is affecting you, and Mercury being the ruler of Mercury, and Mercury being the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. This will be, this is affecting everybody. But yeah, with the release of the tendency of overanalysis, judgment, criticism, anxiety over not having control over what is happening next, or what to do next, or the detail-oriented urge to have everything scheduled and like in perfect working order is one of the things that, if it's too much, if we go overboard, it can remove us from the divine, like the trust that all of these Pisces energies are asking us to have. Like this is a this is a heroic surrender moment for the rest of this year and through the summer of next year, when the nodes shift into Aquarius and Leo. So while the North Node is in Pisces, we are asked to totally surrender and trust that if we don't get that job, if we are fired, or if that relationship ends, if someone passes on, you know, if your car is repossessed, whatever it might be, any relationships that end is a blessing in disguise. And this is kind of like that reframe that will help us navigate these big changes, these reversals. I mean, these are reversals that need reversing, because when we had these planets in these signs before, which have been hundreds of years from now, like in the 1700s, or like Neptune entered, the last time Neptune entered Aries was 1861, and yes, the Civil War happened that, you know, next day, but that was also when the nodes were in Capricorn and Cancer, and so Neptune and Aries was squaring the nodes at that time. This time we have compatible ruling planets of the nodes. So the traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. Right now it is in Gemini, but it is moving into Cancer this summer. So this summer, I think it's like, gosh, is it June or July? So Jupiter enters Cancer June 9th, and then it will be coming closer to a trine to the North Node in Pisces. And by then, the North Node in Pisces will be, I think, around 20 degrees or so. Let me just double check. The reframe that might help too is like just seeing the big picture and zooming out and seeing like the provocateurs of today are going to be these icons, you know, 15, 20 years from now. Like, I was thinking about Muhammad Ali for some reason, and how he refused to go to fight in the Vietnam War, and he has a Capricorn Sun and Aquarius Moon and a Leo rising, but his Uranus was in Taurus at 26 degrees, which is on the star of Algol, which is considered to be the demon star, and that's where people who have prominent positions or placements on that star can be persecuted for what they stand up for, or for whatever, you know, behavior they project. They are persecuted. And so Muhammad Ali has Uranus at 26 degrees Taurus at his midheaven, and Donald Trump has his midheaven at 24 degrees Taurus, so also on Algol. So just looking at everything that he's doing as, you know, these steps that are leading us to these changes that have been overdue. Like, another interesting thing that I found, let me just take a look real quick. When Jupiter enters Cancer, the North Node, yeah, will be right around 20 degrees. Yeah, another interesting thing I found about this lunation chart, this lunar eclipse chart, was where the midpoint of Mars and Neptune, so Mars in Cancer at 18 degrees and Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, the midpoint is 24 degrees and 7 minutes Taurus, which is where Uranus is, which is also where, right around, it's also right around where Algol is. Algol is right around 25, 26 degrees Taurus. And so, yes, the demon star, and Uranus is the midpoint between Mars and Neptune, and Uranus is also making a trine to the moon in Virgo. And so this is going to help support whatever it is that we need to let go of. And the South Node, you know, the South Node is that diminishing energy. So all of those tendencies to judge or over-concern ourselves with other people's matters, over-analysis, anxiety, perfectionism, and the belief in being busy all the time as being successful or of more value, or somehow being like more productive. Those kind of beliefs will need to be diminished so that we can come into the North Node Pisces of trusting and resting and going within and finding the answers there, or allowing the answers to come in when we are quiet, when we are not distracted, when we are not making ourselves crazy with a to-do list. And the thing about Uranus being conjunct Algol is there can be this feeling of, potential of being persecuted for the decisions, the radical decisions that you're making. It can be this pull to stay or stick with what has been stable, like what has been known, like the tendency to hold on to that, but then also craving change. So there's this feeling of being torn between change and stability. But we have to also realize that the change that we make will bring us to like authentic and sustainable stability, like a more joyful livelihood of ease and authenticity. There's just this big trust that we are being asked to have with what is unfolding right now. And I call it like a heroic surrender because, like monk level kind of surrender where we trust fall into the unknown. All these Pisces energies is that liminal space where you can't see what's in front of you, what's underneath you. You just kind of have to guide yourself with your senses and your intuition and trust. Like when you have to go to the bathroom at night and you can't see, you just kind of know where you're going and you kind of feel around, but it's somewhat like that kind of feeling where you know the direction that you're going in because you've done this before. The thing is that we haven't done this before, but we have to believe that all of the changes, all of the events, as heartbreaking as they appear, they are being orchestrated in a way that will bring us to a higher level of living. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's all about endings and death and grieving and accepting, forgiving. And the thing about death is that it's the place where spirit becomes alive. Like when you meditate, when you go to sleep, you're allowing your spirit to be experienced. And so there's this kind of other dimension where things happen that we are learning about, we are discovering more about, because North Node in Pisces is pulling us to learn more about that other dimension, like the truth of what is on the other side of the veil. And so we are being asked to let go of the stigma of death and celebrate it rather than fear it, rather than it's easier said than done. Of course, we're grieving the loss of someone or something, or a life, or a version of ourselves that we might have been attached to for a long time. But that's what this phase is all about, is detaching from our attachments, those relationships, those connections, those things that we know we're able to take with us into other dimensions, into another life. So your phone, your favorite stuffed animal, whatever it might be, your collection of shoes are not going with you into the next life. So kind of really getting clear with what is important, what is of true value. So easier said than done, for sure, especially if these Taurus placements. Taurus is the sign that likes to collect things. It is the sign of values and possessions, and it's an earth sign, so it's a fixed earth sign, so it wants to hold on tightly to what it has. And with Uranus there in the probably most difficult earth sign, it's not just prying your fingers open to let go of those things, but releasing it with love and knowing that you're better off without it, and you're able to travel lighter you won't be weighed down by all these material things. So yeah, it is a supportive lunation to completely surrender, let go. Right now it's been raining for like, I don't know, a couple days now, washing away things, purifying purifying the ground. So yeah, it is going to be a powerful one. And whether you practice viewing the lunation or the eclipse or not, just be sure to connect with the energies inwardly. It's also been said to fast during this time, especially in the sign of Virgo, to like really purify and get rid of any excess. So yeah, hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, we're in this preparation period of really adjusting to these radical reversals, especially connected to toxic systemic patterns related to health, healthcare, employment, and labor, because that axis between Virgo and Pisces is all about work, how much to work, being in service, and we have been through this phase of believing that giving more of ourselves makes us a better person, but we have to realize that we have to take care of ourselves in order to better serve others. So hopefully that helps. Oh, and a Black Moon Lilith moves into Scorpio this weekend as well, right after the lunar eclipse. And so this is the opportunity to explore those shadows of where we can feel guilt, shame, manipulation creeping up. So expect to have those experiences so that they can come up and be worked through. All right. So if you are curious about taking a closer look at your chart and diving deeper into your soul, definitely hit me up. And yeah, I would love to take a look and see how these energies are affecting your chart personally. Until next time, hope to see you in the next one. Much love. Ciao.